of course, let's first create a M file and call it the week3. The first thing we do is like the vector or matrix indexing. So let's say we have a vector defined or matrix defined like this. So I'll first ask you guys, what is T4? Oh, sorry. So what is T4? Can you guys see all the stuff in like my Matlab and the code here? Actually, I think I can put it into the chat box, chat window. So what is T4? Just unmute yourself if you want to answer, and or you can type into the group chat window. Okay, so I saw some answers. So the answer is 8. Actually, yeah. So Jacob, why do you think it doesn't exist? I mean, yeah, if you have questions, so basically this means create a vector from start from 2 to 19, and the step is 2. So basically the first element is 2, for second is 4 and 6 and 8. So the first one should be 8. Okay, let's move on. Cool. I think we are good. How about this one? Oh, sorry. I always put. So yeah, I think this is correct. So this is up straightforward. So for 2 and 4, the answer should be like so it's 4, 6, 8, 10. Okay. I'll ask the final one. Yeah, let's do one more indexing for this. How about this one? What's the answer for T412? This is very important because Matlab is good at dealing with matrices, and if you if and the first thing in this thing is like indexing, right? You have to find the element in the matrix. So this is very important for your coding in Matlab. Yeah. Also, yeah. Please give me answer in the group chat window, or you can speak. What's the output for this? Yeah. Okay. I see some correct answer from. So it's 8 to 4. Okay, that's correct. And so for this example, it's a 1D matrix or it's a vector. So let's think about that. Let's make it more complicated. Like A is now a matrix. It's a 2x2 matrix. Oh, sorry, it's a 4x4 matrix. And in this case, what's the value of this? Okay, so Andrew said it's 15. Why do you think it's 15? So basically, this is a 4-row, 4-column matrix, and A34 means the third row and the fourth column. Okay, yeah, so it's 12, correct. Good. And how about this one? How about this? Great, so this is a great answer. Yeah, so I expect some people will say like it's 2, 6, sorry, 2, 6, 10, 14. But this is wrong because this means to be a row. And here, actually, we are trying to get the second column of this A matrix. So it should be a 2, 6, 10, 14. So let's move on. How about this one? Good. So it's 4, 8, 12. 4, 8, 12. Good. So okay, let's do a this is the final one for this matrix indexing. How about this one? Five, 7. Yes, correct. So this means to 2 and third row and 1 and the first column, third column, first and third column. So then the element is 5, 7, then it's 9, 11. Okay, good. So we know how to do index for matrix. And then let's go to function definition. So when we do some coding, we really do a lot of we will like use several things again and again, right? So let's say in Matlab we always want to do something like matrix multiplication or like calculate something like Fibonacci, which is the topic of today. So in that case, we can define some function to like to make our code more concise and reduce some redundant, right? Let's say we want to create 1,000 times of Fibonacci sequences, then you can directly write one function, call it every time, okay? And before defining any function, let's think about the format or syntax to write a function in Matlab. So the Euro syntax for writing a function in Matlab is like, first you say function, return value. Usually we will get some return value from a function. Then it's like function name and the input parameters, right? Inputs. Let's say input parameters. Okay, after that we will also usually we will have an end before we end the function definition. And also here, here I think we will do something, right? Let's say do something based on the input parameters, okay? And several things we need to keep in mind for a function is, first thing is a function cannot run itself. So we have to write some additional scripts or code to call the function. We have a function and we want it to run. So this is one thing to keep in mind. Another thing is function usually stay at the end of scripts. So let's say you create an M file. So you had better put all the functions at the end of the scripts. Or you can create a separate file, or you can create a separate, let's say function name .m file to store the function. This will also work. Okay. Okay. So after we know how the format of function is, let's directly create a function. Okay. Let's get one example called. Let's create a function called hypotenuse. You guys should know this, right? So hypotenuse for a rectangle, for a triangle. Sorry. So I'll copy this into the group chat and give you guys two minutes to think about how to write a function for this. And yes, if you want to talk about it, you can directly unmute yourself, or you can type into the group chat. Okay, let me specify what I want for this. Okay, so what I want is create a function called hypotenuse, which return the result. Compute this hypotenuse of called C of a right triangle with side A and B. Okay. And I'll give you guys one more minute to think about. Or if you already have the answer, you can let us know. So I strongly recommend you guys to type this together with me in Matlab because that will benefit you a lot. And that's basically actually the most direct way to learn how to code, I think. Any takers? Okay, let's do it together. So because we have this, so if we look at our template, so let's directly use the template to create our function. First we say function, and then say the return value here is c, right? C equals pi. Let's say of what's the input. The input is should be A and B. A and B. And then we do AND. Okay. So what's C? So C should be SQRT and A squared plus B squared. So this should be our function. And if we want to check whether this function works or not, right? So let's directly call this guy. Let's call this, okay? My hypotenuse. Okay, so let's copy the function and say A is 3 and B is 4. How about this? We call it result equals this. And then if we run this, see, so we get a result of 5. So that's correct, right? If we try, let's say 5, and 13. Okay, so this is, so we successfully create a function, create my function actually, right? In this way. Okay, cool. So after we have this function, let's think about the Fibonacci example I mentioned in at the beginning. So Fibonacci is let me okay, so let's do this. Let's create a new section, and so this is the code, some code from. Okay, actually, let me create this. Let me copy this into a Google file and share it to you guys. Okay, so the code on the screen is also in the Google Doc here. So you guys can copy this into your Matlab and see. So we have some implementation for Fibonacci rabbit, or like with dance after 7 months and generate the first the first n Fibonacci numbers with dash. So we have a code, we have some implementation here, but it's not working. So what you guys should do is try to find the bugs And yeah, and as usual, like if you know how to solve this or how to make it correct, you can unmute yourself or you can type it into the group chat. I'll leave you guys like 5 minutes to think about this since this is kind of long. Anyone wants to talk about this? So this is oh, Whoa, let me check. Function D. Okay, let's let me do the changes according to Andrew's answer here. So first he changed this. Also here, yes. Okay, and D is zeros and 1. So D1 is 1. Okay, D1 is 1. And D2 is 1. Iteration. So for k equals 3 to n, if k is smaller than 7, then D has to k, dk minus 1, k minus 2. Okay, else dk equals dk minus 1, minus 7. Okay, and then incorporate. Okay, so ends 2 and cool. So let's see whether this is working or not. Okay. So let's call this function called Fibonacci mod. Okay, let's check the first 3. Then we do run section. Okay, let's do some real debugging online. Okay, so it says file line function definition in a script must appear at the end of the file. Move all statements after mine to before the first local function definition. Okay, so basically, like we talked about, so function usually stay at the end of the script. So basically, we need to move this guy at the end. Okay, and then we because we don't want this one, so we will focus on this Fibonacci mod, and let's run it again. Cool. So we got the answer of 112. So seems right. Okay. So because we have the condition of 7, let's do it 10. So here, looks right, right? If you guys check, this should be correct. So yeah, Andrew, it seems your answer is perfect. So here we directly change several places. Like we don't need the since we only have a vector here, only one variable here, so we only need D. And also we use parentheses instead of brackets for indexing, right? So that's what we focused in the previous things right here. So when we do index, we use a parenthesis like this. This is the syntax for Matlab. And also here, it's the same thing. And also we missed some end in the previous version. Okay, cool. So we now solved the Fibonacci sequence or Fibonacci coding. Let me think about. Let's move on to another example. Okay, so in this function, I think we have mostly covered most of the topics we want to cover today. We know how to define functions, and we kind of know. So first we know how to index a matrix, and then we know how to define function, and we also did some debug there, right? Okay, so one more thing about debugging is we can use the breakpoint in Matlab to debug. So basically what I mean is if you click here, let's say the 32 line here, And if you click here, left click here, you can get a breakpoint like this. And how it works is when we do run, it will stop here, right? Let me click first, and then so if we run this, right? So it doesn't finish, it doesn't run through all the program or all the code, and it stops here, right? So since we call we call a function called the Fibonacci mod here, so we can step into the function actually, right? So the benefit of having a breakpoint is we can know how the variables are changing, okay? So here, let's look at the workspace, okay? So here we only have A and T, which is not irrelevant because those two comes from here. So basic, or we can directly comment them. Okay, so here we, let's do it again. If we run again, now when we look at the workspace here, there's nothing there, right? Now we can step in. Now we can see we have n equals 10 here, right? Because we already executed this line. And then we step in again. Now we move here, right? So D1 is 1. So we can see, so we executed this one. So we created a zeros, like a matrix, n by 1 matrix by this. Then we then we move on. So D1 equals 1. So we change D1 to 1. And then we do again. Then we make D2 to 1. So this is very, very useful. So you can use this to keep track of the variables and what is going on when you try to debug. Because for bugs, like I said, we spend a lot of time writing bugs. And usually there are two types of errors. So one type is like one thing is called like syntax error, right? So if we say mat, right? So it will say unrecognized function. This is kind of the syntax error, or like a equal 1, right? So this means because Matlab doesn't recognize those stuff. Those are kind of called syntax error. And there are some other errors called logic errors, right? So let's say if we put this thing to be instead of k minus 1, and we put k here. In this case, the code should still be able to run, but it doesn't give us the right output we want, right? So that's called logistic errors, logical errors. Sorry. In that case, if we want to debug, whether we have some logical errors here, we usually use this. We can use this breakpoint to step into each of the line and check how the values or variables changes for each step. Okay, so this is for the debugging part, and let's move on to another example about let's think about another example to be. I'll give you guys one more example, and you can think of what this function is doing. So the function is here. I'll also, like previously, I'll also copy this function into the Google Doc link, so you guys can copy it into your Matlab and play around with it. Okay, so this is our function called unknown, and we give we are trying to. So basically, what I want to do is I want you guys to understand what this is doing. So let's say, what does Okay, so let's say what does unknown let's say 1 2 3 mean? 1 2 3. What should be the output for this and why? I will give you guys like another 2 minutes to think about like what this function is doing, because like when we code in Matlab, we usually write a lot of functions, so we have to not only we should not only be able to write function, we should also be able to understand the existing function wrote by others, right? So if you have any thoughts on or answers about what this function is doing, you can directly type into the group chat. And actually, I think we can write some comments here, right? To tell the readers what this function is doing. And first you can guess what's the output of this. And what's the output of unknown, say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Can you guys guess what's the output of this one? 2 2 2. That's correct. So how about this one? Let's not directly run it, okay? Because that's trivial, right? So let's think about what should be the output for this one. 1, 4, 10. Okay, let's go through it together, okay? So for this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, this example, when we do this, so first the length of x is here we have 8, right? So we have for I in from 1 to 8. Then, so of course our length is larger than 5, right? So we go into this section, this if statement, and so basically for each of the element in X, if it's the third one, and or if it's not the third one, or it's the fourth one, then it's times I. So basically it's like the element of X times the corresponding index of this element. But except for I equals 3. And when it's 3, then it's 10. So basically, I think Andrew's answer should be correct, right? So let's run this one. Let's run here. Let's run. Oh no, okay, I made a typo here. So it's 1 for, so that's correct, okay? So we have 4 more minutes. So let me introduce one more example for you guys to understand. Okay, so let's think about a function like this. Called unknown2. Okay, so still I will also put it into the Google Doc. So it's the same link. You guys can copy this one and check how this function works and what does it do. So this function is unknown2. And the input is S and T. So S and T have more than 10 elements. Okay, so let's do this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 11. They have to share the same length, right? So let's do 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And right, so what should be the output for this one? Here we don't just run the code. Let's first think about what the output should be. So since time is almost up, so I directly run the code, but I can go through this code break quickly. So for this function unknown2, we give 2 inputs s and t. So there is a, so here we use while loop. So while loop, it's smaller than, let's see, here we have 11. And if the index is larger than 3, then we make changes to, because the output is y and z, okay? So we put yi should to be this. So basically it's the i's plus the I minus 2 and minus the I minus 1. It's kind of complicated, but otherwise, if else means if I is smaller than 3, okay? Otherwise it's 1, because that's because that's why here it's 1, right? Because so for 1 and t is smaller than 3, so it's 1. Otherwise you calculate like this. And after that we do I equals I plus 1. So basically this format is like for I equals 1 column, like length of t minus 1, or maybe something like that, right? And after that we also have z. Okay, so here if we want to check the if we want to say A and B, because there are 2 outputs here, right? And if you directly run it, it only gives you the first one. But if you do this, then you can also find t here, okay? Okay, so that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed, and see you next week.